evening, darlings, and welcome to the re-recorded episode 19 of Greenwood Talks. And I do apologize for having deleted that. I don't know what happened. I did something absolutely silly with my phone, deleted a bunch of things. So I do apologize for that, darling. I am really sorry. But we're going to get to your question anyhow. So your question was, Dear Lord Thronduil, I was wondering if you had any advice. Currently, I have a lot of free time and I'm looking for some sort of hobby or activity to fill the time. Well, darling, I think it really depends on sort of what your interests are and maybe some skills that you have already and sort of what opportunities are available for you. I think a lot of times hobbies sort of need a bit of capital to get going. A lot of them you sort of need supplies or you need to sort of take classes, that sort of thing. Although the internet's great for sort of finding a lot of little tutorials and things to get you going to begin with. It sort of depends a lot on you, darling. You know, for me personally, sort of hobbies, I enjoy sort of, you know, I've talked a lot about music and dance, and so, you know, you can go online and look up different dance styles and sort of dance steps, and you can get an idea of it that way. And I think that physical activity is good because it puts both your mind and your body into motion. And, you know, it just has a lot of benefits for your health, mental and physical. And, you know, other than that, if you're looking for something that's going to take up a lot of time, you know, sort of anything that you have to do by hand, that's sort of tedious, not necessarily in a bad way, darling, but sort of embroidery or crochet or knitting, wood carving, those sorts of things that take a lot of little details or a lot of repetitive motion. You can make chainmail, you know, that sort of thing. Again, these things do take capital to get started. You need to buy the supplies, which is why sort of some of the more physical things are often very good because you can do them a lot of times in your own home or just sort of outside, and you don't always need equipment, although a lot of sort of sports will require that sort of thing. I know a lot of people use instruments as a way because it sort of is as much or as little as you want to invest time-wise, but again, it costs money to buy something. Even if you sort of go to a shop that sells used instruments, you might check out sort of when people sell things, that there's so many names for them all over the world. I don't even know what one to use, but when people sell items from their home, they tend to be incredibly cheap, or sort of estate sales, which is usually when someone has died and everything's getting sold as cheap as possible with the company. These sorts of things are great ways to find either supplies for a hobby or sort of even just interesting things. You know, a lot of people enjoy things like antiquing. Of course, it takes a lot of money if you want to purchase the things, but if you just sort of like to look at them, you know, and enjoy the aesthetic or maybe photography, those sorts of things where you can kind of go out and have an experience along with it, I think those are also quite enjoyable. And of course, any kind of writing or singing, you know, again, it's sort of a creative way to do things, and it doesn't really cost a lot. If you have a computer, you can do any amount of writing you want right there, and just let your mind go wild, as it is. And I'm trying to think of something more that doesn't really cost anything. You know, you could sort of, I sort of make games for myself when I have to do things that I don't want to do. Or even with cooking, you know, I sort of tend to play a little bit of a game, and there was sort of a television show that I got the idea from, but you sort of go into your refrigerator and you find 5 items just at random. You just turn your head and you just touch something and you just pull them out, and there'll be the most random, bizarre combination ever, but then you try to make something that's sort of a cohesive dish with them. It's a lot of fun. If you're looking to sort of take a lot of time up. I even enjoy just flipping through magazines to get inspiration for various things. You know, I sort of do a lot of little things here or there because I have a lot of time and a lot of money to spare. And so I sort of pick things up and then drop them and pick them back up again. So, you know, it's a luxury thing to be able to do this sort of thing. I am sure of this. And so I understand that not everyone has that sort of available at the disposal. But you know, just sort of find something that's around you that you can sort of incorporate. You know, and worst case scenario, just go for a walk and sort of make a story using some item that you find out there. So if you're taking a walk and you find an unusual rock, well, what does it look like? And then sort of based off of what it looks like, make up a children's story about what you would do with this thing that you, if it looks like a flower, about a flower. If it looks like a bird, make it about a bird. Darling, I don't know. I haven't had enough wine for this question. I'm sorry, darling. It's just been too long a day, and you know, then I went out and it is getting quite late. So I'm just going to let you go now, darlings, and have a great evening and ta-ta.